So I was going to vlog today, wasn't I? Like, take you with me, show you the sights of my life. I didn't really do much today. I had a hard day emotionally. I've spoken about this before, and it's a weird thing. I don't quite know how to explain it. It's sort of, I just get into a dark place. Something can trigger me, something can set me off. I'm not going to get into what triggered me today, but something triggered me, and I go into this sort of spiral of self-hatred and negativity that is nothing but damaging. And it's like a vicious circle. It goes round and round and round, and I can't get myself out of it, or at least I can't for a long time. And I've not really found a very good way of dealing with it. And I know that cognitive behavioral therapy can help with things like that. We currently don't really have the money for me to go and get that done privately, so I would have to go through the NHS system, which I'm prepared to do, and perhaps it is something I should start looking into. But obviously that wasn't going to help me in the moment today. But it was a really hard day, and I basically took it as a mental health day. I did very little. I just lay in bed, watched movies, tried to keep warm because it is freezing. I'm wearing about 4 layers at the moment. And I cried a lot. Which you can probably see in my eyes. My eyes are a bit red. I did a lot of crying. And that's kind of my way of coping with it, really, and moving on from it is to cry it out. And then I saw this evening, I'm part of the Birth Trauma Association Facebook group, which is, if you've been through a birth trauma, I can't recommend the group enough. It's fantastic and really supportive and really helpful. And I read a post on there. I haven't been reading any of the ones that come with the tagline trigger warning, but I read one where a woman was talking about how she was struggling not to cry. She was trying really hard not to cry. And she'd had a day that had triggered her, and she'd had a really traumatic experience which brought up a lot of the pain that she'd been through. And now she had to go home and parent her child, and didn't feel like she could cry because of that. She couldn't let it out. I know that feeling all too well. I know that feeling of trying to hide it inside, trying to keep it at bay until the kid goes to sleep, and then you can let it out. And thankfully I realised through experience, but also through the support of my family, that actually that's worse. The intention is wonderful, and I completely understand it. You don't want your kid to see you like that. And also, the whole being a parent thing takes up so much energy and headspace anyway. You don't even necessarily have the time to cry. But it dawned on me one day that the lesson I was teaching my kids was that you should hide your tears, you should hide your pain. And that's not true. You shouldn't hide it. Hiding it makes it bigger, makes it harder to deal with, harder to move on from. It's important to deal with these things. Now, of course, you don't want to be a blubbering mess all day, every day. And when I got to that point where that was happening, I went to a doctor and I got myself on antidepressants, and I did a bit of counselling, and I got myself into a better place. But it is okay every now and then to have a cry, and for your kids to see you cry. In the same way that when they're upset and we comfort them and we tell them it's going to be okay, they need to see that you're human too. You don't need to worry that they'll think you're weak, or that you don't need to be scared that they think anything really serious is wrong. If you've taught them love and understanding and compassion, then they will show those things back to you. And it took my son putting his little arm around me when he was 2 years old for me to realise that actually I'd already taught him a lot about what it means to have emotions, and that it's okay to have them. So today my kids saw me cry, and they hugged me, and they held my hand, and we watched movies together, and they tried to make me laugh. Eloise did an exceptional job at trying to make me laugh. and they talked to me about stuff, and they took my mind off it, and it helped. And they're not worse off because of it. They're not traumatized because I was like that. They're not going to even really be talking about it tomorrow. They'll have moved on. But when they're upset, they'll know that that's okay, and that no one is going to think badly of them because they don't think badly of me when I cry. It's been a tough day. It's been a really tough day. But here I am at the end of it, and my husband has been wonderful, and I have amazing friends who have been checking up on me and making sure that I know that they're there if I want them, if I need them. And I have two wonderful kids that have held my hand. And so, yes, it's been a really tough day, but my life is pretty good. And I feel quite privileged, and I feel a bit emotional and teary just at the very fact that I now have so many people in my life who care about me. And I mean, if that doesn't give you the Christmas spirit, I don't know what will. So that's my Vlogmas for today. It's a little bit of a introspective one, but it's the best I've got for today, because I really didn't think you wanted hours of footage of me crying. I have a tissue not because I'm still crying, but because I've got a bit of a cold as well, so that's fun too.